In the lawless, dusty expanses of the Old West, various forms of law enforcement existed, each with their own jurisdiction and set of responsibilities. At the top of the law enforcement food chain were the U.S. Marshals. These men were the long arm of the federal government, appointed by the Attorney General, and tasked with enforcing federal laws and carrying out the orders of federal courts, Congress, and even the President. The U.S. Marshals held vast, sweeping powers. Their jurisdiction stretched across all U.S. territories, making them the government's enforcers on the ground. However, the job wasn't all gunfights and chasing down criminals. The bulk of their work was far less glamorous: paperwork. Serving writs, subpoenas, summonses, warrants made up a significant portion of their daily grind. They were also responsible for arresting criminals, transporting federal prisoners, and overseeing the disbursement of court-ordered funds. Marshals handled the financial and logistical side of things, paying the expenses of court clerks, U.S. attorneys, jurors, and witnesses. They rented out jail space, paid for courtroom rentals, and even hired bailiffs. If a witness or juror wasn't showing up, it was the Marshal's job to find them. They provided the boots-on-the-ground representation for the federal government, often in places where lawlessness reigned. When local law enforcement was non-existent or ineffective, the U.S. Marshal was the last resort. He had the power to commission a posse of deputies, some hand-picked, others hired on the spot, depending on the situation and available funds. Wild Bill Hickok was a deputy U.S. Marshal from 1867 to 1869 at Fort Riley, Kansas. Seth Bullock, the legendary sheriff of Deadwood fame, also served as a federal marshal for South Dakota. Wyatt Earp was a deputy U.S. Marshal for Arizona. Bill Tillman, Heck Thomas, and Chris Madsen were collectively known as the Three Guardsmen, famous for keeping the peace in the dangerous Oklahoma and Indian territories. One of the most remarkable figures in this line of duty was Bass Reeves, the first black man to be commissioned as a deputy U.S. Marshal west of the Mississippi River. Over his career, Reeves brought in over 3,000 felons before his retirement in 1907. Beneath the marshals in the law enforcement hierarchy were county sheriffs. These men were elected by the citizens of their respective counties and worked on behalf of the county courts. They had their own deputies and were charged with maintaining the peace, serving writs and warrants, running the jails, and generally ensuring order. Unlike the town marshals, county sheriffs didn't just oversee one town. They were responsible for an entire county. Some of the most well-known sheriffs include Pat Garrett of Lincoln County, New Mexico, the man who killed Billy the Kid; Bat Masterson of Ford County, Kansas; and John Behan, the sheriff during the infamous gunfight at the OK Corral in Cochise County, Arizona. Next in line were the town marshals. Appointed or elected by city councils, town marshals had a more localized role. They were similar to modern-day police chiefs, with their authority typically extending only to the city limits or the immediate surrounding areas. Famous town marshals include Ed Masterson of Dodge City, Kansas, Henry Plummer of Nevada City, California, and Dallas Staudenmeier of El Paso, Texas. Last, but definitely not least, were the constables, or police officers. These men were hired by town marshals, or police chiefs, and were responsible for general law enforcement duties in the towns. They were the street-level officers, dealing with everything from petty thefts to barroom brawls. Notable constables include Wyatt Earp of Lamar, Missouri, and John Selman of El Paso, Texas, the man who shot and killed notorious outlaw John Wesley Hardin. Then there was the constable with the ironic name of Wyatt Outlaw, of Graham, North Carolina, the first African-American police officer to be killed in the line of duty. Outlaw's tragic end came after he was lynched by members of the Ku Klux Klan, just days after shooting at a group of men believed to be associated with the Klan. The Old West wasn't just a land of outlaws and gunfighters. It was also a time when the foundations of modern law enforcement were being laid, often in blood, sweat, and tears. Each officer, whether a deputy U.S. Marshal or a local town constable, played a part in trying to bring order to a land where chaos reigned.